Hello, everyone, and welcome into an exclusive WFUV sports interview. I'm Gabby Price, joined by Izzy Randazzo, and we have a very exciting guest today. He's a former Fordham grad, now sports reporter, on-air talent for SNY, and most importantly, the thing that ties this all together, Dean of Knicks Film School, the media company where fans learn everything they need to know about the New York Knicks. Jonathon Macri, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I am awesome. I've had a crazy day. I did an ESPN spot earlier today on ESPN Radio, which was actually a first for me. I've done other affiliate ESPN shows like over the years in different like cities around New York, but never the big show that broadcasts here in New York City. So that was cool. And then just did some KFS stuff. I did a Cats and Shoot episode earlier with my guy Fred Katz, who covers the Knicks covers the NBA for the Athletic. So it's been a busy day, but it's good busy because like I get to talk about this team that I've been rooting for 30 some odd years, and you know I enjoy it. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not a bad life, but let's kind of jump right into it. So last night, as we know, the Knicks lost to the Magic, but the bigger storyline that came out of that game obviously was Jalen Brunson on his drive to the basket late in the fourth quarter, landed awkwardly on his right ankle, basically immediately leaving the game, and was reported leaving MSG with crutches and a boot. Don't think we've heard too much of an update on him yet for the future, but what was your reaction when this happened, and what would a lack of Jalen Brunson mean for this team if he was out for a couple games?
I mean, my reaction when it happened was, why is Jalen Brunson still in the game? Because they were down by 16. The Magic had just hit a three-pointer. It was very clear the Knicks were not going to win. And, I said it in the moment. I was like, call a timeout, get the starters out of the game, which, again, the sort of thing we thought might happen more of with the new head coach. It didn't happen. And then, Brunson does what he does, which is he anytime he's in there, he's going to go 100 miles an hour. As far as, a potential life without Jalen Brunson for the immediate future, I think it's going to be interesting because for all the talk about this like equal opportunity offense, giving other players a chance to step up and do more things, he is still the guy that demands all of the defense's attention when he is on the floor. So, whether it's off the ball or whatever, it's like defense is off the key, always have to key in on him, and he is still the guy that starts the dominoes, falling on a lot of offensive possessions. So if he's not out there, how are they going to do that? And I think I am very interested in finding out the answer to that question.
Yeah, kind of building off the Brunson injury and its implications. So the Knicks are one of those teams that have an enhanced level of chemistry, kind of similar to OKC or the Celtics when JT is healthy.
Yeah.
So how do you think this chemistry may change with Brunson out and, kind of other aspects changing for the team?
That's a great question. I do think that they have good chemistry, and it's great to be able to say that because watching the team last year, I don't know that I would have said that a lot last year. Because I felt like my biggest takeaway last year is that, and I've said this many times, they were a team where it didn't feel like they were playing up to the level of their talent. If anything, it was the opposite. They were playing below that level. This year has been a different story. When the offense has been humming, it's been just the absolute most beautiful thing to watch. So, like if you take that key piece away, in theory, the chemistry should still be there, right? Like they should still be able to play together and do like a lot of the stuff that they're doing. I just think it might take a little bit more creativity because having Brunson on the floor, it's a failsafe, right? It's like no matter what happens, we still have him out there, and like we're always going to be able to get a good shot worst comes to worst. And like here's the thing, even within this offense and even within like all the great chemistry that they've had, there have been a lot of possessions that have ended with Jalen Brunson taking a shot. He is taking more shots this year, a lot more shots this year actually than he was last season. So, you know, again, not to repeat myself, but I'm just kind of curious where they're going to go. Who's going to initiate offensive possessions? That's my biggest question because they don't have another traditional point guard I won't say on the roster because they have Tyler Kolek, but that is like ready to step in and play significant rotation minutes. So what does it look like? You would think that like all of their collective experience together would help here, but again, it's the sort of thing where we don't know because we haven't really seen it too much at all this year.
Definitely. Gabby, do you want to go or do you want me to take this next question?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I know it's still kind of an upsetting topic because it just happened last night, so bear with me. But last night's defeat against the Magic, what are your thoughts about the Knicks' first loss on home court?
Yeah, I was really pulling for 41-0 at Madison Square Garden. But no, I mean, look, it was annoying on a few fronts. For one, they didn't really come out with great energy, and I like it was the second night of a back to back, so you can kind of understand it. But like the coach, some of the players said after the game, like that's no excuse. You got to come out there and you got to bring physicality. And they were punked. And like if you're a fan of a team, like you never want to. Yeah, it's okay to like nobody likes to lose at all. But like if you're gonna lose, don't get punked and don't get punked on your home floor. And they did. So I didn't love that. I also didn't love that Orlando kind of took them out of their offense. But it's a long season. It's one game. I think we've seen enough evidence to feel pretty confident that this team, obviously they're a good team. And now it's just an opportunity for them to give us some more data on how they respond to adversity. They had a 3-game losing streak earlier in the year. Obviously, that was on the road, and they responded to that well. So now, especially if you don't have Brunson, how are you going to respond against a good Miami Heat team on this final game of your homestand tomorrow? So, hopefully they treat it as a learning opportunity. I'm going to try to put a positive spin on it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to stay positive. The way I look at it, now we got our loss on home court. Let's get a win on a away court in a couple days.
There you go. Yes.
That could be good. But kind of transitioning, obviously, a lot of your job, you're on Twitter, you're on Knicks Twitter specifically, which is a little bit of a crazy place. And
a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. A lot of discourse about Josh Hart, Cat, Yabusele early in the season. Where do you kind of stand on these guys? And I mean, I guess now that especially Brunson is out, do you see them taking a bigger role on the court?
They're gonna need to. There's no choice because Jalen Brunson is their best player, obviously. But like Karl Anthony Towns is their highest paid player. He's a max player. He's just made the All NBA team. And then, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges have had very good statistical seasons. They've played very well. But again, it's a question of how do those guys look with a little bit more offensive responsibility. I would say overall, I've been really happy with pretty much everybody in the rotation, give or take a Yabusele, who has kind of come out of the gate a little slow. It may be a conditioning issue. But even he showed funny enough, on a night when nobody really played well, he was had some encouraging minutes last night, the last couple of games. So, who is going to step up the most? That's really the question. And you would think, again, just because of his stature in the league and everything, that it would be Karl Anthony Towns. But, he is not your traditional, all NBA level player in that you don't just, you don't just toss Anthony or Karl Anthony Towns the ball and say, okay, go create offense, go, manufacture stuff. So, I'm a broken record. How is it going to look? What are they going to do? How are they going to tap into the talents of these guys to lift the offense up if Brunson has to miss time? And is it going to look materially different from what we saw when Brunson was in the game?
Absolutely. Kind of shifting a little bit with this new era under Mike Brown. How do you think this season is looking for the Knicks so far, kind of with this new leadership of a brand new coach?
Pretty good. 7-4 is fine. I probably would have. I mean, I certainly would have signed for 7-4 before the season started. I think the process is even more encouraging than the results in that the players have bought into a offensive system that is Certainly, they get into their actions faster. There's a lot more movement, both with the ball, off the ball. It is clearly producing good shots, with the exception of last night. And again, I don't want it's kind of recency bias because we just played this game, but Orlando is a more physical team, and they were able to do some things to disrupt what the Knicks did that other teams just have not been able to do. Um, all that being said, it seems like they're very bought in to what Mike Brown is selling, which was always my biggest thing, because it's like you're telling a team that made it pretty far last year to, like, all right, well, we're going to kind of scrap a lot of what we did and try something new, which, you never know how that's going to go. So I've been encouraged. The defense hasn't really been there, but I think it will come in time. So yeah, but again, it gets back, like, hearing your question, it gets kind of back to, for me, like, it's going to sound weird. What is the point of the season? Is the point of the season just to win games? Because they could win games on talent. But I think what the real point of the season is to develop some, good habits, and habits that will pay off in the playoffs. And that's, again, I think we've seen some good, encouraging signs where that is concerned.
Yeah, going off kind of what you just said, talking about players buying in, Mike Brown also buying into this team and also to the franchise. There's really massive expectations on this team going into this year. And I think there's a couple questions here that I would love to be able to ask you. But first, kind of going off what you just said, but what specifically do you think that the Knicks need to do in order to get themselves to the Eastern Conference Finals, the NBA Finals, where a lot of people want them to be?
Yeah. What do the Knicks need to do to get to the NBA Finals? I'll answer this in a simple way, which is to say they need to play up to their capabilities. Which might sound like a cop out, but, like, they should have made the finals last year. They really should have. Because they were. Indiana played better basketball than them throughout the whole playoffs and in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they had more talent than Indiana. And I know talent doesn't always win out in the NBA, but their talent should have made more sense together last year than it did, if that makes sense. So fast forward to this year, like, yeah, there are some other good teams. Like, Cleveland's good. Detroit's obviously, making a statement early on here in the season, but they still have the most talent in the Eastern Conference, and it still should be the most functional talent. They could play different ways. They could play with Cat at the 5. They could play with Mitch at the 5. They could be more defense-centric, more offense-centric, all of those sorts of things. It is just going to come down to them going out there and continuing to execute what you need to execute in Mike Brown's system. And they have done that for the most part. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing. And then just, defense, so much of defense is about effort. And I think in some of their poor defensive performances this year, it's more of an effort thing than anything else. They don't need to be, I don't know what that was. Sorry. They don't need to be a great defense to make it to the finals. They just need to be a good defense. So what does that look like? Is that 12th in the league, 10th in the league? I don't know, but they could get there. Whatever it is, they could get there.
Gabby, you're muted.
Oh, yeah. I was like, is it me?
My bad. Technology.
That's okay. No problem.
I've done it before. It's okay.
Yeah, anyways, I think that was a great point, Jonathan. Defense, a little iffy, but they can get there, especially with an excellent offense. But kind of maybe one last question,
Sure.
Touching on expectations a little bit. Do you agree with the expectations going into this year that it's kind of all or nothing for the Knicks, where people are like, it's NBA Finals or nothing? Do you agree with that sentiment?
I think anything other than a finals appearance this year would be a disappointment. And I don't think that that's unfair of me to say, because of the moves that the front office has made the last few years and the fact that they have clearly gone all in on this roster. Every piece that is here because the front office wanted it to be here. which is not to say that like they have like if you gave them the ability to assemble any team that they wanted, that they would assemble this team. But like they went out and acquired all these guys by trade, by draft, by by free agency signing, and you're never going to get an Eastern Conference that is, I'm not saying the East is like easy, but you're never going to get an Eastern Conference that is more, it's more there for the taking than it is right now. As far as like, do they have to win the whole thing this year? I don't know. I mean, this team has been to the finals twice in the last 53 seasons. So if you're telling me they can make the finals again, like, and they lose, is that a failure? I don't know that I would say a failure. What I will say though, I think anything other than a title this year would result in them looking at the roster and potentially looking to make one more big change. And like nobody should be thinking about like Giannis right now because the Bucks are first of all playing very well. He's awesome. And look, he may not ask out this summer. You never know. But given everything that happened this past summer, where it was reported that he was interested in the Knicks and the whole thing, like if they don't win it all this year, it would be frankly irresponsible for the front office not to go and look at that as a possibility again. I don't know if it's feasible. Giannis would probably need to be a little heavy-handed. But yeah, so now with that again, does that mean not winning it all is a failure? I don't know that I would say that, but that's their expectation. I can tell you that they think that they have the goods to win it all. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the dream to see the Knicks winning championship parade in New York. Would love to see that happen. And you've said it multiple times. Really, the biggest question for this team is what is it going to look like with Jalen Brunson, without Jalen Brunson? You can talk about it all. Trade deadline is another conversation that we don't even have time to get into today. Jonathon, thank you so much for talking to us. We know you're a very busy guy. You had a very busy morning. So hopefully you have a break now this afternoon. But we really appreciate you taking the time, sharing all of your expertise about the Knicks. Thought it was a very good conversation for all of us.
No, this was great. The only what I have to do right now, Izzy made me some absolutely bang up social clips for my general NBA show, NBA Takedown, and I've been so swamped this morning, I haven't got a chance to actually get them out into the world. So that is what I am going to do right now. But no, this was a thrill, and like you mentioned that I went to Fordham, which I did, but I've never been on WFUV before, so this was real. This was an honor. This was the first time. And so like for any boxes that I've checked off on my career path thus far, this is now a new one. I've never done this before. So this was a thrill.
Wow. Awesome. I did not know that. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I was not, listen, I didn't do any of this when I was in college. I didn't, I don't think I wouldn't have even known how to get into the station. So this was great. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
The station is very hidden. So it's a pretty common thing, actually.
That's so sad that I actually don't even know for sure if I know where the station is, like what building it is in. That's pathetic of me. I'm sorry.
No,
it's a maze.
It is a maze. It is a maze.
It is like a labyrinth. It is crazy. Like I still get lost, and I've been doing this.
Under Keating. It's in Keating basement.
You know what? I think I knew that, and I definitely had classes in Keating back in the day, but I don't think I ever ventured to the basement. So yeah, no. I didn't go there.
Yeah, I mean, not much of a reason to, other than our studio. Maybe you'll find yourself there one day. I don't know. I don't know.
Next time I'm in the mood for some Pugsleys, maybe I'll knock on the door.
Yes,
that would be awesome. Yeah. Jonathon, again, thank you for your time today. Like he just mentioned, for more of Jonathon, follow him on Twitter, follow Knicks Film School, follow NBA Takedown on Twitter for more things Knicks and NBA, of course. But for Izzy Randazzo, of course, our guest, Jonathon Macri. I've been Gabby Price, and this has been an exclusive WFUV Sports interview.